Stephanie, how you doing today?
I'm good.
Great. Well, it's great to see you again. Last week we spent quite a bit of time just kind of getting to know each other, and you shared your story with me, and just really told me why you came in to visit with me. And today I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about a couple of things that you said. I noticed that one of the things that you had kind of focused on is that in general right now, along with dealing with some tiredness, sort of excessive tiredness, was the fact that you just had a real lack of interest in many things, but specifically in the things that had once given you pleasure, the things you had enjoyed in life. It's like doing things with your children, let's say. And recently you've just been experiencing a lack of interest in doing that, like I said before. So what I'd like for you to do is just kind of elaborate on that, if there is any elaboration to have, and tell me if there's any feelings that you have that are associated with that.
So things that I used to enjoy, I used to feel like I had the energy for, I don't really have anymore. Just the simple tasks of going to work sometimes are a challenge. So by the time I get home, I really don't feel like I want to or have the energy to engage with my children or do anything. By the time I get home, after dealing with people all day, I just want to kind of zone out and not deal with anything.
Sure. No, I can understand that. Do you think there's any specific emotions or feelings that are associated with you feeling that way? I mean, especially when you're talking about spending time with your family or children, that must bring up certain feelings.
Yeah, I definitely feel guilt because of it. I mean, my children are still fairly young, so I want to be the mom that gets off work and after being gone all day from them, be able to do things with them, and I just I can't bring myself to do that, and it really starts bothering me emotionally. A lot of guilt, a lot of shame goes along with that.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, I guess what I hear you saying is that your children are the largest part of your life, really, and you said that last week when we talked, and you're dealing with the emotions of shame, which are sort of feeding the lack of interest in doing it. So those are battling against one another. Is that kind of where you're at right now?
Absolutely.
Okay. You also talked about being excessively tired, or when you're sleeping, you oversleep.
Yeah.
So you're either super tired or sleeping or oversleeping, and even there's insomnia in there. So you're really dealing with a lot of different emotions based on tiredness. Can you kind of explain a little bit more about what you mean when you say tired?
Well, some of it is just physical tiredness because I either don't sleep or I sleep too much, which makes me physically feel more tired.
Sure.
Some of it, a lot of it, I think, is just mental tiredness from, like I said, dealing with people all day when you're in that space where you just don't really want to be around others. It's hard and it's mentally draining. And then to come home and not feel like you're at your best for your children, that's when the guilt comes in. So it drains you emotionally as well.
Right. So you feel like that the tiredness is really maybe a byproduct of you not wanting to be around people. So you work as a nurse, obviously, and that work requires you to be around people all day long, which is something you don't want to do, and that mentally sort of drains your energy. And then that leads to the physical tiredness when you get home, and then you once again deal with the lack of interest. So it seems to be really a cycle of these things kind of working together to really create in you, like you said, some guilt and some shame, and just dealing with overall lack of or ability to kind of get yourself out of this hole to deal with those things. And I think that sounds understandable given what you're talking about. I do think that there are some things possibly that we can do to help with some of that, but I think we're going to have to talk about maybe setting some goals, some things maybe that you used to do that you want to do, or we've got to have a place to go, right? So we know where we are and where we're starting and sort of the feelings and emotions that are associated with that. But I think now what I'd like to do is kind of talk a little bit about some short-term goals. What do you expect to get from our time, and then what do you want to see yourself take place outside of our time together?
Okay.
So, what is it you're looking to get out of our time together, out of these sessions?
Well, just some ideas on things I can do to feel better and to just kind of start putting myself back out there and in turn feel better physically, feel better emotionally, start sleeping better at night.
Sure.
Just kind of get back to my old self and feel better.
Right. So if I had to ask you, what are the 3 things that you used to do in your everyday life or every week that you don't do anymore that you would probably like to see you get engaged in? And be as specific as you can with these things, not just in general. But what are 3 things that you want to really focus on doing again that you used to do that gave you pleasure, that you enjoyed?
Well, one thing is seeking others out. I would actively seek people out to do stuff with, and now I feel like I withdraw from situations where
Yeah.
there's a lot of people involved. And I used to exercise a lot, and I just feel like now that's just one more thing that is going to require energy that I don't have, and so
Right.
therefore I don't do it. And I know that when I do it, I feel better mentally and physically, but it's just not something that I've been making a priority.
Sure. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that even though you experience an uplift in your mood and your attitude by exercising, why do you think it still remains difficult to do that?
Well, just going back to the being around people all day, when I feel that way, it causes a lot of anxiety in me. And when going to the gym does the same thing, because I don't feel like I'm really good at it. I don't know a lot about working
Sure.
out, and so to go in a gym full of people that look like they know what they're doing causes me a lot of anxiety. And so after I've been feeling those feelings all day long, and then to go into a gym and start feeling those feelings again, some days I'm just like,
Sure.
I'm just gonna go home.
I understand. So really what I hear you telling me is that the anxiety that you get from trying to make yourself go and do that outweighs what you found to be the benefit of the mood enhancement you get from working out. So really the payoff's just not enough for you to kind of battle through that anxiety. Is that kind of where you get with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe you'll like hearing this, maybe you won't, but I think one of the things we really need to set up as a goal is exercise. And I say that for a couple of reasons. One is a lot of people nowadays tend to want to medicate problems and just that fixes it. And I think we need to try other options before we ever get to that point. And exercise is certainly one of those things that, according to all the studies that are out there, when you exercise, your brain releases certain chemicals into your body that can help lift your mood, lift your spirits. There's even studies that have shown that Alzheimer's patients benefit. So it increases the brain volume and the activity. So really, the serotonin and the dopamine, the things that lift your mood, are released when you vigorously exercise. And while I realize that gives you anxiety, I think maybe we can formulate a plan to work around that and still receive the benefit of exercise. So 3 days a week, I'd like to see exercise. Maybe picking off peak hour times when there's not full of people, maybe be a good way to get past that anxiety. How's that sound?
It's a good idea.
Yeah. And I think that's also going to help you with your sleep as well. I think the second goal I'd like to see, and something I think is going to help you, is meditation. And I can get you some literature on that, some websites to go to, but I think meditation is going to be a really good way for you to center yourself and kind of focus on you, kind of turn inward and release some of those anxious and hopeless feelings you've been having, and hopefully give your mind some rest during particular times in the day when you feel yourself getting stressed out and sort of feeling that way. And I would also like to see you do that at least 3 times a week, if not every day, and we can kind of get you some information on that. How does that sound for you?
Sounds good.
Great. Well, I think we've made some good progress here, and I have really enjoyed our session, and I look forward to hearing your feedback next week on how some of these things are going. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.